it has to be said at some point, yeah? The call for review, this is like one among several organizations that are calling for the review of these cases. Now, what are the critical parts of the case in Kano State? First, the tribunal said that 165,663 votes are invalid not because Abba Yusuf and the NNPP did anything wrong or their supporters did not vote properly, but because INEC ignored to do due diligence for 160-something thousand votes. And the court pulled that off, a vote that was legally given by the people of Kano State, given to Abba Yusuf. The court pulled it off, taking away the franchise exercised by these people who are Nigerians, taking their right, throwing it off without even recourse to the impact of that, which is part of what this organization is asking for. Also, they went to the appeal, and the appeal is saying that they didn't submit their name on time. INEC is still at the center of this because it is INEC that opens their portal to receive candidates' forms and all of that, so to accept it. So if INEC accepted it, opened their, because they have a right to close their portal. They have a right to say we are closed. I mean, they usually give dates, yeah? If INEC also decided to collect their forms or whatever they submitted, why the 160-something thousand people of Kano State who legally voted for Abba Yusuf, the NNPP candidate, why are they being punished for a crime that an institution in this country committed? Help us make better sense of these judgments and like what the CSOs are calling for.
Well, not being a lawyer, I may not be able to go into the nitty-gritty of the legal issues at play here. But I've heard it said by those who are lawyers and those who are very competent at it too, that, the judgments coming from the tribunals and the Court of Appeal don't seem to do the judiciary a lot of credit. I understand that it was against that backdrop that the CJN, instructed that appeals emanating from the tribunals should be heard by different courts of appeals and not just, I think all the ones in the south are supposed to go to Lagos, all the ones in the north are supposed to go to Abuja or something like that, that kind of instruction, to avoid this embarrassing situation where you have judgments conflicting, judgments running against one another, all of them supposedly drawn from the same legislation or the same legal instrument. So I think the Nigerian judiciary has lately, been in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. And the election petitions tribunals or the litigations arising from the elections provided a window of opportunity for the judiciary to redeem itself or to win back public confidence, to have public confidence restored in it. Unfortunately, it would seem that even though the jury is out on this, but it would seem that very likely the judiciary hasn't acquitted itself creditably from going by the verdicts or the rulings coming out of the election petitions tribunals and even the Court of Appeal. I am very reluctant to, comment beyond this. So I don't run the risk of then being accused of holding the court in contempt. But I think that some of the issues are also issues that we need to take a second look at. I mean, you rightly pointed out the fact that you can't blame the voter as well for the negligence of an organization that is constitutionally mandated to, conduct elections. But it's also curious to me that 160-something thousand votes were invalidated and all those votes were cast for one political party. I mean, what is stunning coincidence that would be? So, and then a lawyer whom I spoke with also pointed out to me that the Electoral Act did not say that ballot papers ought to be signed. It's result sheets. And so if I understand this properly, again, I may not have the complete factor, but I understand that those votes were invalidated supposedly because the ballot papers were not signed.
That it wasn't signed behind by the electoral officer.
And the portions of the Electoral Act were read to me by this individual to say that, look, it doesn't say that ballot papers ought to be signed. It's result sheet that ought to be signed. There's also the additional issue of whether the Abba Yusuf, the governor of Kano State, was a member of the tribunal was one for the ballot sheets. That's their position for asking that the INEC should give return certificate to the APC candidate. For the appeal, that's where this one now came. Is that different issues? were these issues, but I thought they said, oh, at the once the matter gets beyond the tribunal, at the next stage, you don't admit new evidence, you don't admit new facts. It's simply a reconsideration of the judgment of the lower court. So if the matter of the eligibility or the membership of the NNPN for Abba Yusuf did not appear or was not pronounced upon at the lower court, why did it then become an issue at the Court of Appeal? And I thought that matter was also settled when the court ruled, I think in Peter Obi's case, because the APC, I understand, also raised the issue of his membership. At the time was nominated by the Labour Party, he was still a member of the PDP. And I understand the court ruled that, look, the mere fact of nomination, it's a pre-election matter, but even then, the mere fact of somebody being nominated is an admission that he's a member of that party. So why is that not applicable in this?
I think your curiosity is that it should be at par with several Nigerians.
I think the way we are going now, universities should begin to think of the basic law, introduction to law, as one of these general studies courses. So all of us, even though we are not trained lawyers, we should have an idea of, because the Constitution is written in English language. So why is it that we now have a situation? Is it that ambivalent? Was it deliberately made that? I mean, is that ambiguous? Was it deliberately made that ambiguous, such that you have all these kinds of, multiple interpretations of legislations that are supposedly written in plain English and therefore understandable or comprehensible to every literate person?